Hello, welcome to the Wild Pursuit podcast. This nice and balmy March the 14th. We're uh, we're here and we're going to get to talk with Zachery Warren from the Southern Oklahoma Kayak Anglers and Jeremy Flynt, which seems to be on a hot streak, winning the last two or the first two season events of the 2024 Southern Oklahoma kayak bass fishing season. We're going to bring Zach on first, and he is no stranger to the kayak fishing world. He is a Old Town Pro Team fishing member. Zach was the Oklahoma State Kayak Angler Champion in 2022. He is an IBASS 360 kayak specialist. He is the 2023 Online Angler of the Year winner for the Oklahoma Kayak Anglers. And next weekend, April the 2nd, they're going to host another event on Lake Texoma. Be a lakeside launch. So without any further ado, let's bring Zach on and see how things are going with Zachery. Hey, Zachery, how you doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. How's the weather down in your area?
Well, bad part missed us, I think, but we're still kind of under a severe storm watch the rest of the night. But it's starting to calm down a little bit.
Yeah, same here. It's I think hopefully most of the worst part is over with up here on Lake Eufaula, and it's still raining pretty hard out the window right now. I can hear it coming off the roof, but
Yeah.
I'll take the steady rain over the high winds and lightning.
Yeah, and the cold fronts. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
We can do without any more of those.
I know, especially leading up to this Bassmaster Classic event.
Yes, sir.
Yep. So another thing I was gonna say in the intro, and I kind of forgot, was we have the Bassmaster Kayak Series Championship on Lake Tenkiller here next week, and we have an Oklahoma anglers that have qualified for that. Dustin Wheeler, Jim Baird, Michael Galbraith, Cody McCarter, Shane Moore, Jason Ray, and Jimmy Thomas. I'd like to congratulate all those guys for qualifying for that event. Wish them the best of luck.
Heck yeah. Good luck, guys.
I was surprised not to see your name up there. Usually, whenever you look at those list of guys, you're always right there at the top.
Well, I'm gonna be there. I'm not gonna compete in this one. I was kind of getting done with the wedding and stuff right around the time that everybody's qualifying at Tenkiller. So, but I'll be at the Classic, working the Old Town booth. You can come see me there, and I'll be around for sure. I'm just gonna enjoy it though, just kind of hang out and see all the cool stuff.
That's good. It's a fun event, and there's a lot of people turn up for it. And there's just so much that goes on in there. So it's 3 days of fishing or 4 days of fishing. I think the event lasts for about 5-6 days total from start to finish.
Yeah, so, if you include the kayak stuff on there, yeah, it's all week.
Yeah,
it's gonna be fun.
So it'll be a good week. I wish I was off work all week long so I could just go spend the whole time up there.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool.
Yep. So I kind of introduced you. If I left anything out, let me know, or let the audience know, and kind of tell us about yourself and the Southern Oklahoma Kayak Anglers and your events you got going on this year.
Well, the way it kind of started was me and a couple of guys got to talking about it, and we wanted to see more stuff in the South, and so we just kind of went and did it, and put together a little schedule, took some surveys on social media just to kind of figure out what people wanted, and we're just kind of going for it now. It's been pretty fun. It's been a weird experience, because I've never really done anything quite like this, but it's coming together, yeah, and I think it's going to be a good thing. And the main goal is to expand the sport in the state of Oklahoma and get more people out there and get more people competing, kind of. I'm surprised sometimes down here when I run into kayakers, and a lot of them still don't really know much about Oklahoma kayak anglers or competitive fishing and things like that. And I know not everybody wants to do that sort of thing, but there's a surprising number of people that are still out there that want to, that don't know how. So that was the main goal, was to reach more people like that. And I think so far we're doing a pretty good job of it. We got a couple of Saturday events scheduled down here. One's going to be at Lake Durant, and the other one's going to be at McGee Creek. I think it's next week or the week after next. We're going to be at Lake Texoma, and a lot of them are evening jackpots. But we're just kind of feeling for it, just kind of seeing what people like, what people want, and just having fun.
Shoot, yeah. Now, on your if you go to the Southern Oklahoma Kayak Anglers Facebook page, they can find all that information on your events. And I believe you have in one of your photos that are tagged. It shows all your events and the dates and where they're at. And if anyone's got any questions, of course, they can ask a question on that page. Everyone on there is very helpful to answer any questions.
Absolutely. Any questions, you can message one of us. Feel free to comment, whatever you want to do. But there's you obviously have to sign waivers and read the rules and stuff like that. But we're trying to keep it as close to OKA's format as we can, while kind of doing it how we need to for the format of our events.
Yeah. So far on your first 2 season events, have you had a pretty good turnout as far as how many people showing up?
I think so. We had really low expectations. So, like when people started showing up, we were really surprised and really happy. And we'll fish a tournament with 3 guys. We'll fish one with 20 or 30. It doesn't matter. We're going to keep this thing going and just kind of see if we can build on it. Our first event, we had 8 guys come out to Conawa, and Tuesday we had 5 guys come out, but we all had a really good time. And I expect that once the weather improves a little bit and once we kind of get out of these windy frontal conditions, I think that more people are going to come out. Yeah. So really excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, for sure. On the the March 3rd event that you guys had on Conawa, how was the weather as far as that event went?
It was windy, and there's not really anything out there to hold it back at all. We tried to launch on the south side so everybody could stay a little bit safe and launch a little bit easier, and it went pretty well. You're just kind of, the fishing was a little funny, just how they are this time of the year. They're not sure whether they want to be deep or shallow, and you get a lot of followers. If you have live scope, you'll see fish that want to follow your lure but don't want to eat it. So it's just part of the challenges of early pre-spawn fishing. But it was a fun event. I really like that lake, and there's some big ones in there too.
Yeah, with that being one of the just a few Oklahoma power plant lakes, it sets up good for for starting off of the year early due to the water temperature being a little bit warmer than most of the other lakes around it.
Yeah, and that's why we planned it like that. Is we wanted to try and get an early tournament in on some warmer waters, and that seemed like the best bet for us, was to hit that lake up. And it's a perfect size for a little jackpot too.
Yeah. Yep. So of course you fish out of an old town. You want to talk a little bit about how you got your kayak set up?
Well, it's an Old Town 120 Sportsman PDL, and I run a 23 amp hour lithium battery to Garmin 93 with live scope. And I built my own box in the back. I couldn't find one that was the right size. And I try to keep it pretty simple, but also I like to carry everything I might need for the day. So I don't really have just a lot of fancy gizmos and gadgets on there, but the live scope sure helps, and so does the pedal drive. And actually this year I bought a power pole, so I have a micro anchor too now, and that is already starting to be a good thing for me. I mean, I knew it was handy. I've watched other guys use them and catch fish off of beds with them and stuff like that, and I think that it could be invaluable in the right situation in a tournament or something like that.
Yeah, I'd say probably one of the most frustrating things in kayak bass fishing is holding your kayak on your spot in the wind.
Yes.
There's very few days you get no wind days on the lake, and so that's your biggest issue, or the biggest issue that I face is keeping that kayak situated correctly in the wind without getting blown off your spot. There's a lot more work goes into it because you'll find yourself casting, steering your kayak, and pedaling all at the same time. And it takes a lot of coordination.
Right. It can be a handful, but I will say this, out there at Conwood the other day, there's a spot I really liked, but it was just eating waves, eating wind, and I got big bass in that tournament. I don't think I would have been able to do it without a power pole because I staked off in about 5 feet of water off of maybe one of the roughest points out there, and I was able to work the cut on the edge of the bank right there and pull one off of it. And I know a lot of times those feeding bass really prefer fast moving water. So it's nice to be able to look at spots in a different light now. Like I can go there and I can stop there. Whereas before, especially when I paddled, those spots were just impossible to get to. You might as well forget about it. You got to go find a calm cove or something like that. And, sometimes that pays off, but it's definitely a really handy tool. And I look forward to seeing how else I can utilize it this year.
Yeah. Those power poles come in handy. I don't have a power pole. I have an anchor on an anchor wizard set up, and it works pretty well. But there are times when the wind does pick up heavy enough that 10-pound anchor just won't hold me still. I wish I had a pole to stake in the ground.
Yeah, they can be really good for sure.
Yeah. So last year you won state Angler of the Year points in the Oklahoma Kayak Anglers in the online series. Do you still plan on fishing some online events this year as well?
Yeah, I'm gonna fish some. Every year I try to set goals for myself, and that was my goal last year, was to win online Angler of the Year, and it did not come easy. Those guys are hammers, and basically, I know there's a little bit of controversy around the online fishing, but to me, those are the true trophy hunters out there, because that's what it takes every month is 5 trophies to get to that end goal. And I hate to say it, but I almost burnt myself out last year, man. I was out there in the middle of the summer going, this sucks. I'm ready to go home, and I don't want to take the joy out of fishing. So this year I decided I'm going to back off a little bit. I'm still going to compete, don't get me wrong, but I'm going to do some other stuff. My goals this year is I want to make every one of the big events and get this little jackpot thing going too on the side. And I just want to network a little more and meet some more people. And that's why I'm going to the Bassmaster this weekend, and just going to try to fish less, but kind of growing the sport at the same time, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Yeah, that's good. It's hard to balance the work life and the fishing life and the social media life and everything that we want to do to try to grow the sport and grow our own brands within the sport. And but I think you're on a pretty good path. You're very well known in the kayak community, especially the kayak bass fishing community and on the tournament scene. So Zachery Warren is no unfamiliar name to see in the top of the list on most tournaments.
Well, I appreciate it, man, for sure. A lot of hard work went into it, but I like where I'm at right now, and I feel pretty confident about this year. It's going to be fun.
That's good. So on your big bass that you caught on Conowall, do you mind sharing what bait you were using?
Yeah, I mean, it was a Texas rigged Pit Boss. So one reason I like the Pit Boss is the profile of it. It's nice and chunky. It's pretty heavy, but you can still get it way out there to the fish, but you can also control the noise it makes when it hits the water. And it's great for punching. It's great for just about anything. And sometimes in those dirty water situations, I'll use a crawl with a bigger tails on it or something like that. But for the situation, I was just throwing a Pit Boss, and that smell really gets them riled up too. And so I worked it around that point, and I got bit once and I missed the fish. And that's when I pulled down, and I stayed there and worked that little area for about 5 or 10 minutes, and I got her to pick it up again. And it was a good fish. She was 20 inches, and she fought hard. She fought real hard.
Yeah, that fish ball seems to be a pretty good bait. They was it the one that had the scent?
Yes. I think that's a very important part of it too. That's why I like power bait so much. But there's other good scents too. Rage Tail has really good scent, and some of these newer baits they're coming out with have some unique smells. But that old school power bait smell, man, you just can't beat it.
Yeah, scent has a lot to do with. I think that's probably one of the number one things on a bait that you can do. They've done a study, and it shows that bass react more to scent than they do any other thing, more to scent than they do color or bait presentation or anything. So
yeah, especially unique stuff. One of the pros, I think his name's Takuito. He's obsessed with scent, and I've listened to him a lot and the things he talks about, and he brings unique things to the table, and I think that's what's paid off for him in his run over here is just being different and just being willing to try new stuff. But you never should forget about the old classics either. I mean, I've been rolling around with a Texas rig and a spinner bait for 2 or 3 weeks now and just catching them up.
That's my favorite to throw is a Texas rig.
Yeah.
If I can throw soft plastics every day, I'm happy.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, that or a crankbait. That's always my go-to. My confidence bait is a crankbait, and then I just feel comfortable throwing plastics, and I can fish them fast or slow. And if I have to slow down and fish at a crawl pace, if I'm fishing with a soft plastic, I can do it. It's fine with me, but I don't like finesse fishing.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I can fish super slow with the Texas rig crawl, but when it comes to putting on a drop shot or throwing a net out there, a shaky head, it's just I don't know. There's just something. There's not as much excitement in it for
me. Yeah, for sure. That was a lesson I learned a couple years back when I won state at 10 Killer. Was I tried the big stuff and it wasn't working for me, and I had to go down to Ned rig and a drop shot, and it wasn't pretty. It wasn't how I wanted to win, but it's what the situation called for, and so I did it, and it worked out for me. But I'm like you. If I have a choice, I want to throw that Texas rig all day. Work some crankbait, something big, but every now and then you got to kind of step out on a limb and do something you're a little less comfortable with.
Yep. That is one of the good things about, these club events, and whether you're fishing, the Southern Oklahoma Kayak Anglers or Western Oklahoma Kayak Anglers, Oklahoma Kayak Anglers, the events lead you to lakes, so many different lakes, and so many different times of the year that you have to get versatile. It's really difficult to stick with one technique. You really have to branch out and fish with techniques you're uncomfortable with. It makes you a better angler.
Yeah, and that's why I started tournament fishing in general. It's just I wanted a challenge, and I was doing good at the time. I was catching fish all the time, but I was going to the same holes, and then with tournaments, it forces you out of your comfort zone. And I think that's really what makes you a better angler is when you're able to go someplace you've never been and still catch them or figure them out however you may have to catch them.
Yeah, it works out really well that way. Have you got to go down, or do you get to very many anglers coming up from Texas yet to fish your events that are a little bit further down south in the state?
Not yet, but when I first started doing surveys and stuff, I know a handful of guys down there too. I lived in Denison for a while before I moved to Atoka, And some of those guys have expressed interest, in particular in fishing the Lake Texoma event. And I've also considered possibly even looking into some of those northern Texas lakes and trying to host an event there. One in particular has my eye, and that's Boat Ark Lake. It's a new lake that they're building over in Bonham. It's not too far from here, but Toyota Sharing Locker program has really been into it, into the development of the lake and the stocking and all that stuff. And I think it'd be kind of cool maybe to go down there, even if it's just with a handful of guys, just to see what it's all about. But I don't even know if it's open yet or not. There's been a handful of guys from Pottsboro, Dennis, and Sherman that have kind of all asked me about it and stuff, and they've expressed interest in it. But I think first we're going to have to kind of get it off the ground a little bit and kind of develop more, a little bit more status before we're going to get people like that coming to some of these events. But we'll fish with anybody. I've spoken with some guys from NTXKC, and they talked about possibly in the future doing bringing back the Red River Showdown, which used to be a tournament between Texas and Oklahoma that took place on Lake Texoma. And I think something like that could be pretty cool too.
It's a little bit of a I think we're experiencing a little bit of a late reaction here. I don't know. It may be the thunderstorm.
Yeah, it's thundering over here.
Can you still hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Can you still hear me okay, Zach?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I'm trying. I'm gonna try.
Yeah.
0, but here just a second.
Are you there?
This thunderstorm is really playing havoc on my internet connection. Apparently, I can see Zach, but it looks like it may.
I can hear you.
Have me. There we go. I think I'm back up and running now. Can you hear me okay, Zach?
Yeah. Can you hear me? Oh, we lost each other.
Let's see here.
I'll try this. It looks like we might have lost Kenneth. Maybe. I'm not really sure. But let's see if I can keep y'all entertained for a minute. Oh, is he back?
All right. It keeps kicking me out. There we go.
Yeah, you're coming through way better now.
Okay. There we go. There we go. All right, we got Jeremy on it now, so I see he has showed up. Hopefully this storm has went by and we'll quit having so many issues. There we go. All right, can everybody hear now?
Yes, sir.
Can
you hear me, Jeremy?
Sure can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Great.
All right, we was having some technical difficulties there for a second. I don't know, storm coming over or what, but it kind of shut us down there for a couple of seconds. Anyway, so we got Zachery Warren here with the Southern Oklahoma Kayak Anglers, and we got Jeremy Flynt, who seems to be off to a fiery start with the first 2 season event wins. How you doing there, Jeremy?
Doing well. Thanks, guys, for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, glad to get you on. Looking forward to hearing kind of what's going on here. How you dominating these 2 events?
Dominating is probably the wrong word, but first of all, thanks to Zach. I mean, I fish in OKA and obviously the S2-E3 plus a big bass big boat tournament trail 2 here in Tulsa, out of Tulsa. So there's a lot of work that goes into hosting these and putting them on, especially starting one from scratch like Zach is doing. So thanks, Zach, for putting that on. I know that's a lot of work.
You're welcome, man. I'm glad to do it.
But no, it's been a good start. This last one at Lake the Arbuckle, I was kind of thinking it's going to be a pretty big challenge for me on that one, but it was just, a lot of it was I kind of scouted just some aerial mass before. I didn't have a chance to pre-fish it. I was wanting to get a chance to go down there and pre-fish it, but I didn't get a chance to. Up here in Tulsa is that's kind of a bit of a drive for that one, but no, I was able to find an area in between kind of the ramp where we launched at, and there was a ramp a little bit up north because I knew that south wind would be probably pushing bait and everything up toward that end of the lake. And I had always read about some of those big fish coming out of Arbuckle, but I've never seen one in person. And literally probably Zach lines in, we're at 5. So I paddled up to a point there off kind of one of the main lake points that was right in the teeth of the wind. I thought, well, I got about 30 minutes probably before I either sink this thing or have to go back to the back of the cove. So I fished that windward point there, and that fish was up there. I threw a crawfish colored Fritz side, and she hit it, and probably about 10 after 5. And about 5:20, I was ready to take pictures of that fish because it took a while to get it in and get everything situated. But yeah, it was fun. It was definitely my personal best, definitely.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. That was a PB for you. That's
awesome. Yeah, it was, and I'm looking forward to this year. I've fished all my life, obviously, fish tournaments, big bass boat tournaments out of Tulsa for the last 20 years, probably or so. But kayak fishing's new to me, and I kind of started it up last year, fished some OK events off and on, and but now I really enjoy it. It's awesome. I mean, I love it, and now I just kind of got lucky last couple of tournaments. Hope to keep it going.
Well, congratulations on the
thank you
on the wins. You want to talk a little bit about your kayak setup?
Yeah, so I've got the Hobie 12.5 with the 360 drive and kind of got the green print on there. I've added the really only things I've really added to it probably been around technology. I've got a Garmin down scan on it. I'm looking at piecing together a live scope setup that I'm hoping to have going on it here in the next couple of months, I hope. But that's pretty much it, man. It's pretty bare bones out of the box, and but man, it performs well, and especially I put it. I mean, Zach can attest. If you were out there in that stuff on Tuesday night, it got put to the test, definitely, from a wind perspective, and it handled it. I mean, I was bone dry in that thing. I mean, it handled it beautifully.
That's good. Now, how long did that tournament last? Because y'all started at 5 in the evening.
It went till 8 o'clock. So it's just pretty much right at sundown is when we decided to end it. I want to try to give everybody a chance to get there and give everybody as much time as I could on the water. And 8 o'clock seemed like a good time. But
yeah, that's my favorite time. I don't know about you guys, but that's like the best time on the water. I mean, and then I don't know if Zach, if you noticed it, but the wind kind of laid down, of course, like around 10 till 8, about the time we were having to put up, but that it ended up being pretty good. I caught that big one right off the bat, and then I probably went an hour before I got another bite. It ended up being pretty tough. I saw a lot of fish, but I had a couple of brush piles that I found that I was scoping out. I couldn't get anything out of those, so I just kind of went up and down that same bank, and that's where that second 10-incher came from to add on to the big one. So that seemed to be enough.
Yeah, the way this format Zachery's got set up, the evening bite is it seems to be good year round. Even when it's cold, the evening bite seems to be the dominant bites. Now sometimes they got an early morning bite pretty good, but that evening bite, and then when the hotter it gets, the evening bite is better and better and better, especially going into late summer for some of that topwater action on that evening bite.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Zach.
Well, I was going to say, you're talking about the wind laying down. I went with the wind up to this cove, and I stayed in there all afternoon. I didn't really get a bite. And as soon as that wind laid down just enough for me to get back out in the open water, I started heading back up that bank that nobody had probably fished all day, and that's where I picked up my only 2 fish of the day was in that windy stuff right there. But that's why I like that evening time, is when everything just kind of settles down. It's perfect for them.
Yep. Yeah.
Now this format that you have going on, is this the 3 fish format for the evening jackpots?
Yeah, just 3 fish.
Yeah. Now you've got a couple of Saturday tournaments on your schedule, McGee Creek and maybe Pine Creek Lake, I believe.
McGee Creek is one of them. I'm still kind of trying to get our permit for that, so it's subject to change at this point. And I think I've told everybody, I'm going to keep telling them, it may not happen the 13th, but we are going to have a tournament out at McGee on a Saturday, whatever date I can get approved. The other Saturday event is going to be done at my home lake, which is Durant Lake. I've spoken with the city over there, and I know the ranger out there at the lake, and they've really been trying to grow the popularity out there. They've been working on the place, so they have kayak rentals out there now. They've updated their golf course. They have a disc golf course there, and they really want to host a tournament out there because the way the slot sets up out there, it doesn't really allow for any good fish to be caught. So the slot's 14 to 25 inches. And I mean, that's any fish that, you would catch out there really. So I was like, hey, we can do kayak tournament. It's CPR. So, and then the guy at the city's like, yeah, we should do it. So I'm kind of working with them on that. I don't know how big of an event it's going to be, but we're hoping to have some prizes there and stuff like that too for the guys that come out.
Yeah. That's one of the positives about the CPR events is it'll allow you to get into some of the lakes that have the slot over a boat event where you have to bring fish into the weigh-in. Because the slot doesn't affect you on a CPR event. For those the viewers don't know, CPR is catch, photo, release, And so that way, you know, you can. It's kind of like they did on the Bassmaster at the Lake Fork event. You know, they did primarily CPR or not CPR, catch wave release on those. But and it turned out working really well, which allows them to keep coming back to Lake Fork, and allows us to get on some of these fisheries that otherwise would be tough. McGee Creek is a tough one to bring in a 5-fish limit in a bow tournament because of the slot that they have. But those slots are really good because they create good fisheries with lots of good fish in them.
Yeah, I agree. In fact, Tin Killer had that slot on it up here by Tulsa for had a slot for a long time, and now that I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's changed a little bit up there. And we fished a tournament in it about 3 weeks ago, and that fishery seems as healthy as ever. I mean, they're smallmouth all over that thing now, and as well as some really good largemouth that I saw were weighed in. It was a tough day that day, and I think it took like 20 pounds. This was a big boat tournament, but it took like 20 pounds to win it up there. That was 3 or 4 weeks ago. So it's definitely one that's benefited from a slot. Definitely.
Yeah, I'm excited to follow the live leaderboard of the Bassmaster Kayak Championship on there and see how these guys are, what kind of links they're going to bring in, because with we've got several guys from Oklahoma that are absolute hammers that's going to be in that event.
Yep.
And then, you know, there's guys from all over the nation that are tried and true guys that run all the national events.
Yep.
And I'm excited to see what kind of bags they're gonna pull out of that Tin Killer Lake next week.
Yep. I was excited to see. I mean, we had that event, and Zach, I think you may have fished in it. We had that event. Was it December? That was the qualifier for the one in March on Tin Killer, and I fished in that and didn't make the cut, but there was some really good fishermen in that tournament that qualified for that. Hopefully Oklahoma will be represented well there. It's a good lake. It's a really good lake.
I love that place.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of everything from dirty water all the way to nearly crystal clear water. It's got good depth, the rocks, and a lot of structure. So it should be good. It's set up really well.
Yep.
Yeah. When I practiced out there before state a couple weeks before, I talked my buddy into take this boat up there, and we just went from one end to the other all the way up the river, and I was just amazed at the diversity that they have out there. I mean, you can literally fish it how you want it, and that's always really cool because, I mean, I'm not too fond of docks, but some guys can really catch them on them, and then I like fishing ledges, so I still was able to find some of those, and just pretty much anywhere you go, there's something new around the corner.
Yep. Yeah. That a Tin Killer Lake is another lake that's like that. That's really diverse in I don't even know what word to use, but it seems like it's got such a diverse fishery from stripers, to smallmouth, and from dirty water to clear water. It's it docks and wood structure. It's another lake that sets up really well like that. A lot of fun. There's no matter what kind of fish you're after, you can find it on that lake.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And that was one of the things I was really glad to see Zach start up the SOKA, because, up here in Tulsa, Tin Killer is one of the lakes that we kind of fish first. It seems like it starts to wake up a little bit earlier than like Grand or some of the other lakes that are up around this area. And so we don't get a chance. I don't personally get a chance to go down and fish a lot of the southern lakes earlier in the year. And that was one thing that I've just been loving it since this started up, because I'm getting to fish lakes I've never, don't really have a lot of experience on. And the fish bite in first week of March and last week of February, that's kind of nice versus up here. It can be kind of tough sometimes. So that's nice as well.
So Zach, on the Tin Killer event, on your schedule it shows Lakeside Launch. What does that mean exactly?
So that's at Lake Texoma, and Lakeside is the name of a marina out there at Texoma. It's
Okay.
a little bit south of Meade. If you're going from Durant to Kingston, it'd be on the left-hand side of the road. And I picked that spot because I like bow fishing out there every now and then. And that guy's taking me into some pretty cool grass flats over there that aren't far from the ramp. And I'm hoping we time it right. Maybe we can catch some big ones back in there because a couple times out there bow fishing for grass carp, I've noticed some pretty nice bass on those beds and stuff. And I thought it'd be kind of a cool lake. You don't really see just a whole lot of tournaments going on Texoma, and it's a sleeper. I mean, I forget sometimes how big some of those fish are out there. And, you know, like you said, they got smallmouth, they got hybrid, striper. I mean, there's just no telling what you might catch out there. But it can be a really fun, diverse place. And maybe if we timed it right, might get to see some cool stuff out there.
Yeah, and that's one of those lakes too. You forget how big it is. And that thing's massive.
Mm-hmm.
And that, it's got a lot of diverse wildlife in it, and it's been years. I have fished it, but it's been years ago. In fact, I don't think I'm going to be able to make that Tuesday night Texoma one. I'm thinking I might have to be out of town, but I've definitely, if I can't make it, I'm definitely going to miss it because that'd be the one that I have circled. That one is a really long. That might be an overnighter if I fish that one. Tulsa, yeah. But yeah, that ought to be a good one this time of year.
Heck yeah.
So Jeremy, on the you not only won the event on Arbuckle here recently, but you also won the first event for the Southern Oklahoma Kayak Anglers on Lake Conowal. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it was kind of same deal. I was able to pre-fish Conowal once in the week a little bit, spend some time on it the week before, and again similar type of deal. I knew it was kind of going to be windy when we were having our tournament, so I kind of tried to set up into the wind, fish try to stay in an area where I could kind of get out of it if I needed to, but also be able to fish in it for short spurts, just to see if the bass were following bait or whatever. And those fish, unlike the ones at Arbuckle, they were actually in brush piles that I was able to coax out of there on a shaky head. And that was one of those tournaments where it was 4 bites, 4 fish. I was glad I fished pretty clean on it because I couldn't afford to have one of those bites get off. That one was a pretty tight one, inches wise there. So, but yeah, that one held some fish up at the north end. I think we had if I remember right, Zach that was the opposite way. I was at the south end. That was a north wind that day, wasn't it? I think on that one.
Yeah, I think so. It was windy, whichever way it was coming from.
Yeah, it was. I think because we switched ramps. We were going to be at the north ramp, but I think is how it ended up. And we went up in the middle, and I was able to get kind of out of the wind there, and but yet fish some stuff that was where the wind was kind of hitting the bank, and I was able to knock out 4 there out of brush piles. They were probably in about 8-10 feet of water. The water clarity on Conowal that day that we had was I don't know, it was probably 1.5 feet, 2 feet, something like that. Maybe it was a little clearer where I was, and that seemed to be what the ticket was that day. I picked the shaky head up and never sat it down the rest of the day.
What was the water temp?
Where I was, I had low 50s, so around that 52, 53. When I got there, though, when we first put in, it was because that was the 3:30 launch. It was about probably 55-ish, mid 50s, and then it kind of dipped a little bit further toward sundown we got.
Yeah, they haven't been running the plant like they used to, and that was kind of a bummer. But I found a little bit of water that was in the upper 50s, but it didn't go over 60 at all while we were there. And as soon as that sun went down, that that temp started dropping pretty quick. So,
and the bite did too. I mean,
Yeah.
it started to trail off a little bit there after probably after 5:30 or so. But yeah, most of those fish, they wanted it, but you had to really kind of coax them out of the brush piles. But it seemed like if you got it in front of them, they bit it.
yeah. Yeah, it
Now,
was
whenever
fun.
y'all, I'm sorry, Zach, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying it was fun. I got one on the jerk bait. I always like catching them on the jerk bait, especially when they hit it on the paws. That's really exciting.
Oh yeah, yep. Did whenever you guys fished Arbuckle, was the water temps about the same as a Carnival, or were they a little colder? More.
Yeah.
They were a little bit higher. He probably saw warmer water on the north end where he went, but
60s. It was 60s where I was.
Yeah, I saw some 60s too in some of those areas, but the side we were on was the west side, so the sun, we were in the shade a lot faster over there, and again, it kind of trailed off about the mid 50s after sundown.
Yeah. The thought crossed my mind, like, okay, that other side's probably going to be about 2 or 3 degrees warmer, but I didn't want to try to paddle across it Tuesday night. It was pretty windy, so I just decided to stay on that west side, which worked out. So
yeah, when we fished the Arbuckle Lake of the Arbuckles last year in the Oklahoma Kayak Anglers, it was pretty windy and cold, and that lake does get pretty rough.
Mm-hmm. That was scary. That was 30 and 30 degrees and 30-mile-an-hour winds.
Oof.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the next event that you guys are going to be hosting is on Lake Texoma, April the 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
Either you guys got any plans to fish any events in between here and there?
I'm gonna, hopefully, if everything goes right this weekend, I'm gonna go practice at Eufaula for the OKA event, and I might go out to Texoma tomorrow after work. I'm working kind of over in that area, but I'm planning on making as many events as I can this year, and just seeing how I do.
Yeah, same for me. I mean, I may not, probably won't be able to make that one. I'll be out of town, some business, but I plan on. I've actually got a tournament Saturday on Grand, out of a big boat tournament up on Grand, and on Saturday, and then after that, I plan on. I think the next event. I think we have an OKA event, right, Zach? In between our two SOKA ones.
Yeah, Eufaula's on.
Yeah.
I think it's on 6th, or it might be 6th or the 8th, something like that.
Yeah, so I'll definitely be at Eufaula. That's one of my favorites as well. That's really good in April. Really good in April.
Yeah.
It'll be windy.
Sets up really well.
Yep.
It's a lot like Texoma. There's all kinds of stuff out there you can find and fish.
Yep.
Yeah, Eufaula's got a good window. We're at the best time of the year to be on it, and I think April, early May is about the best time of year for bass fishing on the lake.
Yeah, it's really good. They'll be shallow. They'll be probably against cover. I don't mind dirty water. It's kind of depends on where you go, but it's can be a little dirty there. But that usually just means they'll be shallower and warmer. So it ought to be pretty good. There'll be some good weights on some good links on that one. So definitely.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we keep getting a bunch of this rain. Those South Canadian and North Canadian rivers, they'll have it muddied up pretty good.
Yep, they will.
Yep, there'll be 100 anglers up around Portal Landing.
They like the bridge.
Don't go there, huh?
looking for the cleanest water they can find.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They like the bridge there, and that's actually I mean, there probably will be, because that seems to be the last part to get on that lake to get muddy. So
yeah,
but that'll be a good one.
Yeah, sure will. Now McGee Creek, that I've been watching some of Chuck Justice's videos. He's been posting some pictures. They've been catching some good ones out of McGee Creek here lately. especially this past week, they've been pulling a lot of 8+ pound bass out of there. So that event, whenever Oklahoma Kayak Anglers gets there, and as soon as um, SOKA gets there, that's going to be a good event that's going to shake out either way it goes.
Yeah. Those events out of McGee, they always spit out giants. Like, records get broke out at that place. It wouldn't surprise me to see McGee set another record. I think, was it 2 years ago or 3 years ago? We had a new big bass record for OKA.
Yeah, I believe it was 2021. It was like 25 1/4 inches, or it was over 25 inches.
Yeah, it's an absolute monster. I got a love-hate relationship for that place, though. It can be really, really tough at times. But if you spend a little time on it and figure it out, you can find them. There's some monsters, but it's hard on tackle. It's tough on your boat out there. It's a different kind of monster for sure.
Yeah, we was down there a couple weeks ago, and just right up from the lake, the dam store there at McGee Creek is open back up, and of course they rent out kayaks now, and the store owner got to visit with them for a little bit, and they're real enthusiastic about getting some of these events down there, and they wanted to be sure and let everybody know that they're more than willing to try to host any events if they can. And they'd love to be a part of the kayak community as far as bringing events in. And they've got a little restaurant in there, and they also sell some fishing tackle, stuff like that. So it's nice to have a store that close to that lake, because I don't believe there's any other stores very close around it within close proximity.
Yeah, they have a damn good burger too.
Yes.
And that's probably what it says on the menu, right?
I don't know. Once I figure out the date for McGee, we're going to reach out to him and see if we can't have our little award ceremony there too. It's a pretty nice spot. I've gone to a couple of shows over there. I live right down the road, so it's cool to see them put that thing back together, because the closest place to get something cold to drink before that was over a half-hour drive before he got to McGee. So I'm sure they're making some money out there, getting some good business going.
Yep, that's good. That's good, especially when you got some owners that's really pushing to bring in the business. They really put out the effort. So.
Yeah.
Yep. So Jeremy, your schedule seems to be pretty busy between big boat events and kayak events. Do you find yourself torn?
Yes.
On which one that you love the most?
I do. I'm new to the kayak side of it, but I love it. I absolutely love it. And I've been fishing big bass boat tournaments for 20 plus years, and around this area, and I'll continue to do that just because I like to get the practice and the fish. But there's something about being in a kayak that close to the environment, that close to the fish, that close to the water, kind of being on your own, kind of putting together a strategy. When you're fishing either out of the front of the boat or out of the back of the boat and on a big boat tournament, you just kind of have to, it's not bad, but you just kind of have to work with your partner more, and kind of there's that give and take. But in a kayak, your strategy is your own. You're gonna sink or swim on your own, and I kind of like that challenge. The larger boat trails, they're not quite as flexible, so their schedules are in concrete. They're usually put way out in advance, and they don't travel down to the southern part of the state, at least not a lot of the trails up here. So this allows me the flexibility to throw the kayak in the back of the truck there and drive down and fish some lakes that I don't have a lot of experience in. So I absolutely love it.
Now let me ask you this: being I come from the bass boat world as myself, and you're still in both. One of the things that I noticed in the kayak fishing community, it seemed to be more personal on a social level. more camaraderie, so to speak, than there was in the bass boat world. Do you find that to be similar on in your experience?
Yeah, I do. The my partner that I have now, we've been fishing together for years and years. So we've already kind of and worked together. We always kind of had that friendship. But we've made the comment that over the years of gone by fishing in this club, I mean, it's it's 150, 200 boat deal, and I used to be able to tell you who was in it and be able to call folks by their first name, but those days are long gone. I mean, there's constant turnover. It's really not that social event that I think I kind of like about OKA and SOKA. It's a lot more. You're not real. You don't really know a whole lot of people in the club. So this I definitely like. Just the people I've already met have been really cool, really nice folks to talk to, and it just seems just like a real good real good events to be associated with.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I'd like to. I'm glad we got you both on and got to talk to you guys. Zachery, you got to some sponsors or shout outs you'd like to plug in?
Yeah, shout out to iBass 360. They just launched a new online magazine, and they're going to give me they're calling it the Kayak Corner. So it's a quarterly magazine, and every 3 months there will be an article from me. The next one, it's a little sneak peek. I'm talking to some pro red fishermen down in Texas, and I'm doing an article with some of those guys. And also, shout out to Old Town, Johnson Outdoors. They're great. They've taken me under their wing and really given me an opportunity of a lifetime here. And shout out to the real MVPs. He's my jig guy. I got a big order coming from him here pretty soon, and we're going to give some of those away at some of these new events. And just shout out to all the guys going to the Bassmaster this week. It's good luck. Go out there and catch some fish, make Oklahoma proud.
How about you, Jeremy?
None for me. I wish I could say Hobie was a sponsor, but they're not. No, none for me. But like I said, I just enjoy going out and fishing with hammers like Zach, and then a lot of the folks that kind of double dip off the SOKA as well as OKA. I mean, there's some really strong fishermen in these two organizations, and it's fun. Oklahoma's got a lot of talent, always has, but there's a lot of talented guys in those two clubs, definitely.
Yeah, certainly. Well, I sure do appreciate having both of you guys on, and I don't have any sponsors myself, but I would like to send a special thanks out to all of the. There's too many to mention, but all of the sponsors and all the the companies and the guys that support our local clubs. They support so much. There's really no way to track the amount of merchandise that is given away to these local kayak clubs to give to anglers for prizes. And I really appreciate all the sponsorship and everyone that jumps in and tries to help these clubs out. And maybe soon I can get a list of them all and put them down in the description or have them roll in on a ticker, or sponsors like that. But I would like to give them a shout out and a special thanks for all that they do. And really glad to have both of you guys on, Zach and Jeremy, and look forward to catching you out on the lake and fishing with you and maybe chatting a little bit more.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you.
Too.
All right. Well, that was the season 2, episode 3 of the Wild Pursuit podcast. Things got kind of rocky a little bit when that storm rolled through, but it was getting the hail and the wind was so bad I couldn't hardly hear. I tried to put in my earbuds to help get to hear Zach and Jeremy a little bit better. So I'm sorry for interruption that we may have caused. But I feel like this podcast is doing a little bit better. Every episode we pick up a little bit more traction, and can't wait to hear for the next one. I would like to, excuse me, I'd like to get another schedule on. I'm shooting for Monday, March the 18th, to do a podcast with the River Valley Kayak Anglers. If I can get a hold of Chris Jones and hopefully the winner of their Lake Hinkle. Let's see here. They got an event that is on Waldron City Lake and Hinkle Lake there in Arkansas. So if you're in that area, look up River Valley Kayak Anglers, RVKA, on Facebook. Give them guys a shout. Jump over there and get in on that event and get to know some of these Eastern Oklahoma, Western Arkansas kayak anglers. And if you find yourself, looking for an event to get into, don't hesitate to reach out to Southern Oklahoma Kayak Anglers, Oklahoma Kayak Anglers, or Western Oklahoma Kayak Anglers. Any of these clubs, you got Tulsa Bass-a-thon, and then you got Tulsa Tackling Outdoors, the TTO Yak Pots. So there's plenty of options here throughout the state for kayak fishermen, whether you're a novice or you consider yourself a pro. All you got to do is just get online, find an event, and join up. And you'll find yourself greeted with a lot of friendly faces there at the boat ramp. And have a great event. So anyway, I'm going to sign out of here. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to the Wild Pursuit fishing channel on YouTube. It really helps us out, gets traction, and helps the channel grow. Thank you.